Hello everybody. Today I'm going to give you a story of a person from our family who's left a deep imprint not only on me but on anybody who ever got in contact with her. That is my grandmother, my mother's mother. Her name was Narmadatai Atle. She came to Sagar and people in that area called her Narbattai, but we called her Ai. And ever since I remember she's been our house. Much later I learnt about her background and I might well introduce that to you. My mother, Mami, was their only daughter, and after the daughter got married, the husband and wife were living happily in their farm near Sagar, till one day she lost her husband and she became a widow, and she had to undergo all those terrible things that widows went in those days. But apart from that, even her property and other things also were pilfered, taken away by people in the surrounding, in the company. So she was in a really dire state and Mami decided to bring her to our home. And ever since then she stayed with us. My first impression about her, remembering that I remember, is I used to suffer from my nose getting blocked quite often. And Dada had given me some kind of inhalers, but I had a different medicine, black pepper. She'd made little balls of ghee, sugar and black pepper and gave it to me. They tasted quite nice and surprisingly they did give me relief. She also knew that after I liked sweets and ladus particularly, so she used to make ladus of every variety, with it besan, rava, anything of this thing, and these were filled up with containers in a house. So life continued smoothly, and I always felt that we lived under a tripod with the three legs of Dada, Mami and I. She came to prominence only when the emergency started hitting the family. When Dada passed away, it's a great tragedy, and she stood behind Mami like a rock. We went through that basically because of her support. We moved to a small house, and a small kitchen she used to cook for us, and we all used to sit around and she used to make pulkas, chapatis, and straight out of fire, as soon as it became a full ball, she used to put in our thali. So days together, we all had this kind of a cooking experience with her, and you might remember that in our anniversary gathering, Hema made a very touching reference to this which people in metropolitan cities can never see. Apart from that, in winter months, we used to sit in the central courtyard and she used to offer us fruits and dated pits with little ghee in it and tell us an immense amount of stories from the Puran. But she had a great stock of that too. All this carried on. Later on the other tragedy hit, and that's where she really came out. When Mami passed away, there was such a vacuum, we didn't know what was going to happen. But she filled that vacuum so easily, and she used to greet us, meet us, feed us, and we all went round her basically, and that's how the family, she served as a main pillar for the family at that time. But I didn't stay very long during that period. I moved to the Air Force, joined the Air Force, but Anand and his family were there, and I brought up Anand's children, Nima and Bhaskar. Those who were at this gathering will remember the touching reference that Nima made to Ai, how she brought both these children up. In due course of time, when I got married and Milind was born, I came to a house for the first time in Palam. And she was thrilled to see Milind, great grandchild. It's a pity I have no photographs of her. But once we went to Haridwar, Rishikesh basically, and I had taken a picture of Ai and Milind crossing the Lakshman Jhula, the suspension bridge, and I called it the oldest and the youngest. But the picture was 60-year-old in such poor state that I can't even show it to anyone else. So all I have with me is this little sketch I made for Ai, the imprint on my mind. That's what she should look like. In due course time, Mihir also came, and both the children have grown on her lap and her shoulders. Her routine was that she used to cook for herself, to do her washing and do her prayers, read the books, and then for the rest of the day she was available to look after the children. Apart from the daytime, at night when we had to go out, it was such a confident thing that I was looking after the children, and she did that for years together. She stayed with us in almost most of our places where I served. She never fell ill, except on one occasion she got bitten by a viper, a poisonous snake. So we took her to the hospital. The doctor was surprised that she walked when a viper-biting person barely walks like this. But there were no beds in the hospital, so she lay on the floor with a little blanket on it. But she didn't mind that at all, and she pulled through. The doctor said she must not sleep, and Mummy kept on reading her Ramayana stories to make certain she would not sleep in the night. Finally she recovered and came home. Life carried on at different places till time came for me to go to Moscow. But that's the time we had to part company. But Malti readily offered to take her, and she went to stay with Malti. And Malti's children got the benefit of eyes, nursing and guidance and so forth. While I was in Moscow, I got a message from Malti that I was not well, probably may not survive. So I flew down to Nagpur, but I could not meet her. It's a sad thing. The light that saw us through the darkness is gone. But looking back at her life, look at it, this lady lost her husband. Then she came to stay with us, and she lost her son-in-law, Dada. Then little later she lost her daughter, Mami. And later she lost her the eldest grandson, Balu. With all this happening, smile on her face never disappeared. Her attitude of serving everybody else was constant. And that's the spirit, that's the message she left behind. I'm telling you this story so that you will know the great person that lived in her family and the message she left for us. Thank you.